Day 28, National Preparedness Month. Today we're talking about line gear. And we're talking about line gear, lines 1, 2, and 3, because I dropped the Rucksack video, part 1 of the Rucksack video, update to the Prepper Bug Out Bag, SHTF, the end of the world as we know it, whatever, vid, last night. So if you haven't seen that, go watch that for context. I dropped that video, and a lot of people in the comments were like, "But Bear, why don't you have this? But Bear, what about that? But Bear, fix your eyebrow." Better? Okay. It's going to get unruly again. It's got a mind of its own. It's its own sovereign nation. Doesn't follow anybody's rules. Line gear. How come you don't have one of these in your bug out bag? How much of that is programming from videos that you watched about 12 things you must have in a bug out bag versus an inherent understanding of what the bag is for, which you gained through use of your equipment? My bag looks the way it looks because it's part of a system, which I reiterated half a dozen times. I watched that video again this morning just to make sure. Yeah, half a dozen times. It's part of a system. Mentioned specifically my EDC and my chest rig. And yet and still, people are like, but why? Why don't you have this? I have been programmed by all the big prepper channels that a bug out bag must contain X, Y, and Z. Because line gear. That's why. IMT, individual movement technique. I'm up, he sees me, I'm down. Go do that with a rucksack on, move the hose. And then realize that when you go down and then you roll, and when you're turtled on your back, kicking and screaming, trying to throw your leg over to roll back onto the ground, that you shouldn't have your rucksack on when you're doing that. Which means, if you have to engage, you're gonna drop your rucks. But I don't want everything that's in my ruck to be gone. If all my stuff is in my ruck and I need a spare magazine, who's screwed? I'm screwed. Or you're screwed if that's you. So the bag is part of a system. That system is composed of lines. Now, these lines change depending on who you are and what your job is. So I'm talking specifically here about the context of preparedness, okay? I'm not talking about if you're combat arms, I was an 0311, 11 Bravo, okay, roger that. These concepts will be familiar to you, but we're applying them with a preparedness context, okay? So, line 1 is your EDC and belt line. This is stuff that is on your person every day. And I'm gonna do my best to not make this like a gear whore, gear dump video. And this is not, you should go out and buy all the stuff that Bear has on his kit, all right? Okay, Bear. All right, good talk. So, cover, hoodie. It's a hoodie. Somebody mentioned, well, you should really have some sunglasses. Z87 tinted, right? Protective eyewear. These things go with me everywhere. Check, check, cover. What's in my pockets? Start with a pocket knife, Ontario Knife Company, Bursa, and a Sharpie, and a lighter. This one a brother gave me. It's refillable. The bushcrafters love these things. It works. Homemade gummy bears, seasons must be a-changin'. Cami pocket. Do-rag, aka triangle bandage, aka improvised tourniquet, aka pressure bandage, aka pot holder, aka char cloth waiting to happen, aka sunshade, aka snot rag, aka super useful piece of kit. Sea-locks for wound packing to go with the pressure bandage right there. 2, count them, 2 Cat Gen 7 tourniquets, and yeah, they get used. They're actual EDC. Okay? That's in my cami pocket on my right leg. Yeah, but do you wear camis all day, every day? Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Why? Because it works with my systems. If you don't, get a slick kit from Refuge Medical. SLIK stands for Sexy Legs and Khakis Kit. Look, a pen. You know what's in this little zipper pocket right here? Another mini Bic lighter. Fire. It's important. Watch. Cell phone. In the other pants pocket, cami pocket, left leg, flashlight, Streamlight ProTac 2LX, and a pocket from Refuge Medical, made in America. Decompression needle, pressure bandage, chest seals, fold flat duct tape, wound packing gauze, combat gauze, gloves, nasal pharyngeal airway. You have the ability to make holes. You need the ability to plug holes. What else is in this other pocket? A rolled up SWAT T tourniquet and a rolled up triangle bandage. 2 triangle bandages. Part of that is because if you're going to wear one of these cool medic patches on your gear, you need to have enough gear to fix yourself and other people on you. And that's something we take seriously. That's why I own a company called Refuge Medical. 51 lives saved to date. So, it's part of our ethos. It's part of who we are. Everybody that I run with has enough gear at a minimum to fix themselves and one other person on them at all times. Handgun. Hollow points. Pistol light. Right? Reloads for said handgun on my person 24/7, 365. If I'm sleeping, it's within arm's reach. That's my EDC, my line 1 on my belt line, in my pockets all the time. Then wallet, keys, etc. Line 1. Line 2 is your web gear, deuce gear for all my Marines out there. Okay? What's the deuce gear? What is it? This is a chest rig. This chest rig, and it's a little low. It's kind of a belly rig right now. That's okay. I oftentimes will put my cell phone behind my mags right here when I'm doing stuff. This is a Mayflower chest rig. It's the UW Unconventional Warfare chest rig. I have an entire video on it. I'm giving one away to one lucky patron, fully kitted out. It's like $1,100 worth of kit, fully loaded on Patreon. The drawing for that will be the 30th, so 2 days away, Friday. We'll draw that. So if you want to join Patreon, it's $5 a month, and that ain't the only perk, I'll tell you that. Okay, so I'm giving this away because I like this chest rig. Line 2 chest rig. What's on the chest rig? Well, like I said, I have an entire video on it, so I'm not going to pocket dump all this. But I have a radio right here with a push-to-talk mic. I have a fixed blade knife for everybody who is like, but Bear, you don't have a knife in your bug out bag. I don't need one in my bug out bag for my context with what I'm doing, because I am not, me personally, I am not going to recreate Abe Lincoln's log cabin in the woods. I am going to get from point A to point B as quickly as I can. I've carried machetes. I've carried axes, large and small axes. I've carried silky saws. I've carried extremely large fixed blade knives, large fixed blade knives. I've carried all that stuff. In the last decade, I've pressure tested all of those concepts and systems. And what I've found for me in my context is, unless I know I'm going to need that stuff, I don't take it because it's extra weight. Okay, so what else? Tourniquet, cause for reasons. Somebody said, you have no boo-boo gear. Ah, I do. Boo-boo gear's in this pocket right here. Band-aids, tape, moleskin, not a pressure bandage, an ace bandage, etc. Right there. 2 pistol reloads right here. 4 40-round PMags right here. Again, is a light. It's mounted on the chest rig that way so that I can, if it's dark and I'm out on the homestead doing stuff, because that's my context, think farmer, not soldier, okay? Years ago, I started using the phrase militant farmer concept, right? The reason man was made, Genesis chapter 2, is to rule and subdue, to work the garden and to guard it. Work it is farming, guarding it is soldiering, question mark. Or eating crayons, if Marpat's your favorite color, okay? One or the other. So for my farming context, sometimes I gotta do stuff that's hands-free and I don't have a headlamp with me, or the 18650 and my headlamp is dead. Well, I can press that button, the light shines forward, I'm hands-free, I can do stuff. Somebody else said, you don't have gloves. Hey, what are these? These are gloves on a snap link. Got a multi-tool in this pocket right here, predominantly used for cutting the baling wire on hay bales to feed cows. I've got a 22 pistol because I got tired of putting 9mm hollow points into rabbits and squirrels and snakes and roosters and possums and everything else. So, and for everybody who's out there who's like, 22 is the best SHTF caliber. No. Headshot on a raccoon, just keeps going. Body shot on a possum, 3 or 4 of them. Definitely not as effective as a 9mm, and we all know that pistol calibers do not have stopping power. Yet we all want to default to a 22, right? When instead we could have a 5.56 on our shoulder. Sunto, map compass. And then there's another Bic lighter, another one in this pocket as well. Can he get it? Yes, he can. Another Bic lighter. Seeing some redundancy here? 2 is 1, 1 is none. So my line gear and my chest rig, when it comes to the militant side of the militant farmer concept, checks all those boxes. I've got camo, I've got candle, I've got casualty care, I've got combat, I've got cutting tool. All right, if we're going with the 10 C's of survival. Oh, and an arc down here on a dangler so that I can rip it off. This was the first one, the first prototype ever made. Look, it's dirty, it's muddy, it's got hay on it because we pressure test our systems. I don't sell y'all stuff if I don't know that it's good stuff. And to be frank, the R&D on this kit cost me $28,000 of my money, okay? You can get it for a lot less than that. So I have a blowout kit here as well, in addition to the pocket that's in my pocket, okay? So casualty care is checked, both on trauma medicine and on boo-boo stuff. Go ahead and hook that back up. That's line 2. Predominantly gives me combat capability, right? Well, what kind of combat do you expect you're going to be doing, Bear? Living out there in the woods, hanging out with sheep, talking to a sideways iPhone. The Babylonian rectangle of death, the broad. Thank you, Saw. Expectations for that are low. However, reps and sets. You know how many interferences I find on this kit every day? Fewer now because I use it every day. If it's gonna break, I want it to break now. If it's gonna go wrong, I want it to go wrong now so that when I need it, when the freaking world ends, man. Cool. Automaticity. I know where all my stuff is. I have the reps and sets with it. I know what works and what doesn't work, right? I know where my rifle is. I know how to use it. Talked about that on the Keeping It Real video, shooting sheep in the face. Yeah, I could have used any caliber I wanted, but instead I used the 5.56. Why? Live flesh training. With the rifle, I'm going to grab if things go sideways, reps and sets. And then line 3 is your rucksack. And your rucksack, your bug out bag, your get home bag, inch bag, whatever gay ass name you want to call it bag. The rucksack gives you your capability, your sustainment. Food, water, shelter, socks, underwear, right? Maps, perhaps, spare batteries, all the stuff that I covered in that video yesterday. All these things work in a system. I wake up, I put pants on, I immediately have my EDC and all of that capability that's represented by my EDC to problem solve however I may need. Open Amazon boxes or trim a cigar or throw a hay bale or whatever, right? I wake up, I throw a hoodie on these days because there's a chill in the air in the mornings. I throw the chest rig on and I go to the gym, come back, throw the chest rig on. And now that gives me the capability to honestly to do what? Hay bales for cows, right? Maybe talk to a neighbor on the radio, stuff like that. But reps and sets. Shoot a rooster in the face with a 22 if needed. Reps and sets. And then if we have to go do stuff, an extended period of time stuff, rucksack, which now gives me food, water, shelter, operational capability besides what I'm already wearing, sustainment, right? That's what it's for, is sustainment. So people in the preparedness space miss the concept of line gear. They want to throw all of this stuff into the bug out bag. That's a problem. If you have to run and you got 60 pounds on your back, it's life or death. You got to run. How much faster can you run if you drop that 60 pounds? Somebody's shooting at you. How much better can you maneuver if you drop that 60 pounds, right? Or you've set up your base camp, forward operating base Theodore, or whatever the hell your name is, right? And you're like, all right, here I go. All right, base camp set up. And you're digging through your bag. Okay, and I'm gonna go over here and hey, there's a mulberry tree. I'm gonna gather mulberries. Well, my knife's in my bag. Walk over to the mulberries, walk back, get your knife, walk over to the mulberries, walk back. Okay, cool. It's just a waste of time. You layer the systems based upon need and capability. The stuff that you use the most and need the most should be closest to your body. The stuff that you use the least and need the least. And one could argue, well, I need all of this, otherwise it wouldn't be in the bag. Well, many people fall into the prepper trap of buying shit and throwing it into ballistic nylon and calling it a bug out bag. You don't need most of what's in there, which is a lot of what I illustrated in that video yesterday on the rucksack. The stuff you need the least and use the least goes in the rucksack. Okay? So, line gear. It's a thing. I would encourage you today, your homework today is to audit your line gear. Do you even have line gear? If you don't, how could you get line gear? Like, what systems are you going to put in place? And myself and 1,000 other YouTubers have, and I even hate that term. Oh, Barry, he's the YouTuber. No, I'm a guy with an iPhone that makes videos for YouTube. This is not my full-time gig. I operate businesses and ministries, and I do this with y'all while I'm feeding sheep. Okay, because I want y'all to be better. I firmly believe we have the best audience on planet Earth, right? We've talked about all the wonderful things that you have done to pour into us, to allow us to be the hands and the feet of the Most High, right? And I want you ready for when the freaking balloon goes up, when it is actual hardcore SHTF, when nobody has to wonder, hey, do you think this is the one? That you're squared away. That's why we share this time together every morning, so that you can be better after the video than when you got here. That's my goal. I want you to leave here better than you came, right? So I want you to understand these concepts. I want you to audit your line gear and be better. How can you be better today? Look at what is your EDC. At a minimum, like pistol, reload, lighter, knife, tourniquet, probably flashlight at a minimum. And anything more than that, you're gonna fall out of compliance. You're not gonna do it because it's difficult. Okay, cool. And then what do you need on line 2? Commo, compass, combat, casualty care, cutting tool. Then line 3, everything else. Sustainment, food, water, shelter predominantly. Food, water, shelter predominantly. Avoid gadgetry, okay? Gadgets break. That's been my experience. That stuff breaks. We're talking basic stuff. Wool blankets, sleeping bags, fixed blade knives, nylon sill tarps, right? Silicone nylon tarps, poncho liner, poncho, stuff like that, right? Basic stuff. Steel canteen cup, right? Stuff that's not gonna break, because if you need it and it breaks, you're screwed. Which again gets back to pressure test your systems, reps and sets. Go use your stuff, because you learn by doing, kinesthetically doing with your hands, right? You learn what breaks. Amen, sheepers. You learn what breaks, you learn what doesn't break. And the stuff that doesn't break is the stuff you want to keep using. The stuff that breaks is junk. So avoid gadgetry. You don't need it. Remember the goal, if you ever have to strap your bug out bag on, it's operational capability that you're strapping to your back. It's to get you from where things are bad to where things are less bad and or good, which is part of a bug out plan, which is an entirely different video. Prepper Classroom playlist on this channel for that. Ote, line gear. Long again this morning, I apologize. I do appreciate y'all. I will roll that beautiful bean footage we got today and then 2 more days for the promo, the National Preparedness Month promo at refugemedical.com. So check that out. Pretty much everything's in stock right now. You guys are the best. Do the things, Bear Nation. Shalom.